let's go with segment 1 from yesterday, okay? Human energy, behavioral change, role of outsider. What's some points that you guys recognize in the story?
The analysis that they did of like the information of the cholera outbreak and stuff. That was like with the help of the role of the outsider that helped them to see where cholera was right.
Cool.
And how it was embracing the outbreak.
Awesome, great. What other buzz terms or buzzwords do you recognize? There was like 97 in that story.
They were definitely, the outsider was definitely a guide showing them how they can use their own resources to solve the issue rather than providing them with an outside solution.
Awesome. What else?
It changed their locus of control. They could make a change.
Right, totally. What else?
It looks like they engaged kind of in a freeway relationship where they worked with the government and with the nonprofit to kind of improve their situation.
Absolutely. Did you have something?
Yeah, you were talking about how like they used their they funneled in their passion and like used that to motivate, and then like the aspiration of like what could be better.
Awesome, totally. Aspiration, visions.
Like knowledge sharing with the oral rehydration therapy,
Mm-hmm.
showing them that they have the power to be able to take care of their kids with really bad diarrhea.
Absolutely. And fill in the blank. They could be able to, well, that might not work. It was a behavioral change, right? They could be able to, through behavioral change, they could, how cool is that? For a person to think that somebody's sick, I need medical treatment. To somebody sick and, okay, you can just do something and then they won't die. Like that's very, very empowering to feel somebody. Just by showing them that there's behavioral change that are available to them, that's such a powerful locus of control shifter because they recognize what power they really have. Anything else from segment 1? Role of outsider, behavioral change, human energy.
Use their human energy as currency to get more knowledge.
Yes, great one. Yeah, totally.
And also to get what they want from the government. Because they're putting the time into preparing for their presentation.
Absolutely, great. Great stuff. How about yesterday afternoon section? So 4 principles. Where do we see, we already mentioned develop through a partnership. Where do we see some of those other principles represented?
Make evidence-based decisions.
Mm-hmm. We saw those a couple times, right? What were they?
When they went and gathered information, gathered the information of who was dying and where the leaks were in the pipes, and put the 2 and 2 together, and decided that they needed to go talk to the government.
Totally. Awesome. Good.
The thing they did is they had to focus on the fundamental behavior change within their culture because the women would not usually seek to influence at that level. But by banding together, they realized they had to because they had evidence on their side, and so that was a major behavioral
shift. Absolutely.
A lot of new connections within the community and outside
Mm-hmm.
other communities.
Absolutely. What about focus on bright spots? What do we get there? There's a couple things.
I feel like the doctor was the bright spot.
Okay, great example. What else?
Finding who was really good at communication. So they did the work plan of the 1 month of practicing. And that bright spot that they could send to represent them.
Absolutely. Okay, great. How about the 7 goals? Let's go through the 7 goals quickly. What in that realm do we see represented?
They formed a committee together, and they sent out the strong leaders to speak with the government, and really formulated from there to reach their goals.
Great. So establish leadership, right? Totally. What other goals do we see represented?
Process benefits.
Tell us about that.
How they did one thing and the women came together and started their own groups, or the one group, and then they started other groups, and then the men started other groups, so they had this one goal, and then all these other benefits came from it.
Totally.
It's like a ripple.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep.
It took a month to develop the leaders' capacities.
Exactly. Absolutely. develop leaders' capacities. And then how else do we see the development of leaders' capacities as the story evolved further?
It's also like strengthened their relationships with, them in the community, whereas it wasn't like that before. So like while they're trying to reach their goal, they're, like at the same time, they're also strengthening their relationships with the government, in the community, and kind of doing that two-in-one thing that you're talking about.
Right, totally. And what you mentioned, what you're speaking into is actually two different three-way partnerships simultaneously.
Yeah,
You see what I'm saying, right? So the one was obviously the community and the government, but what was the other three-way partnership that's happening simultaneously? What was the bottom, what was the top?
Was it the religious or
Well, that's definitely another one. What I was getting for more for what Andrew's talking about was the bottom could be represented as the women, and the men could be represented as the top. So by the outside coming in, they were actually helped, because again, as we scale out the lens, we see the three-way partnership constantly changing what it looks like. In that situation, the women were definitely the bottom and the men were definitely the top. And the outside coming in helped to be able to facilitate them to work better together. Then we zoom out, and now that community, which is now a better operating three-way partnership, is now able to operate with the government. So it's actually a fractal. Are you guys familiar with the term fractal? So you fractalize that three-way partnership. So wherever you look, it's operating effectively, and the outsiders actually supporting those connections at all the different levels.
And it was like a momentum got started that they couldn't stop if they tried.
Right.
Because good things were happening by using that seeds model.
Absolutely. Okay, anything else in the 7 goals realm that you want to recognize or mention? They were always making the work plans. They were on the work plans, and it goes without saying that they were taking action, right? They were implementing those work plans. And it seems as though from the story that I'm familiar with, that they were pretty disciplined, that if they made a work plan, they were gonna do it. And I think that one of the reasons they did that is because their confidence was building. That last we made this work plan, we did this thing, turned out pretty good. Took effort, took time, took resources, took sacrifice, whatever, but the results were great. Okay, well, that's going to give us more confidence the next time we make a work plan. So let's do it because we're in a good trajectory. And again, I'm sure that there was work plans they did that failed. I'm sure that everything they did didn't turn to gold. But because they were focusing on learning and not on just the immediate results, they were able to take that learning and spin it right back in, so they never lost momentum. If the work plan was good, great. We achieved and we learned. If the work plan failed, great. We didn't quite achieve, but we learned. So we're always progressing if we have a learning mindset, and we can keep that momentum flowing. So in conclusion on this story, one of the things about this story that is so awesome is that guess where Rima came from? Remember Rima with Bameng? Rima was from Palin. Rima moved out of Palin and moved to Bameng. Because she'd been so much a part of all the things that had happened there, she'd internalized that seed scale model. She'd internalized the utilization of human energy, behavioral change. She learned a lot of information. She had those tools. She understood oral rehydration therapy because she'd learned it and she'd implemented it. And remember the cascade of positive things that happened in Bameng. That was from one person that was able to internalize the process and bring it to a new space. So again, I'll ask the question, what would have happened if the traditional NGO model would have come in and just seen the pipes, fixed the pipes, and left?
They would have broken, cracked again.
They would have cracked again, that's the answer. And the enormous positive ramification that happened in Palin, and then in Bameng, it was even bigger. I mean, there was 26 groups, and they were transformed. It was in Bameng that they changed the law about child marriage, and just huge stuff happened in Bameng. And because one person was able to internalize it, because an organization was able to teach it and share it, And so, if we want to just step in emotionally for just a second and think about what we're able to really achieve, like how cool it is for us to maybe be a part of this type of work, or support people that are, or support the spreading of these types of ideas. It's really, really transformational. And it's lighting fires, you know. And I encourage, if any of you that are feeling a calling in your heart to just really engage more in this type of effort, like just listen to it, you know, because I think that we're in a spot right now where by no means are any of us just like have all of our stuff taken care of and all of our needs taken care of, and we've still got to work and survive, but we're still so comfortable. Like we don't have to worry about where our water is going to come from. We typically don't have to worry about if we have a safe place to sleep, if we're going to have enough food for the next day. You know, so we do have available extra energy that we can use in supporting other members of our human family. And I would just encourage you to just allow the feelings that you might have right now to carry with you as you go through your professional or academic or volunteer pursuits, and figure out more and more ways that we can bring the seed scale model into the highlight in the line, whether it's through the actions you're taking or through the message that you're sharing with other people.